Excellent. I see it's just 4 o'clock. And so I want to welcome everyone. We have almost 100 people joining us right now. It's outstanding. And I'm happy to see a familiar face joining us, Jason Gories. That's wonderful.
How are you, Professor?
I'm doing very good. Very excited to see you there. I see that you have your Wells Fargo background.
Yeah, I just kept it up here for a while.
Oh, that's so good. So that's outstanding. So we have Jason joining us.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Alima. Hi.
So, my question is, maybe I'm a little bit lost. That's why I'm asking again, like our assignment, which is milk to, I think,
Yes.
to milk. So this article, this is the article, right? Like, how can I write down about that? So I have to read about that, right?
Yes, if you go in Canvas, you go to the section which is called File. And then under File, you're going to see Samples, Report Samples. So it's not an article, it's not an essay, it's a marketing report. And it's made of 10 pages. And the core element of these 10 pages, the most important element, what's most important, is called the SWOT, S-W-O-T. And so the SWOT is a very basic, extremely basic component that business students have to learn when they go to a business school. And they're not learning it just for the business school and never do it again. They use it right after they graduate. It's a basic thing, okay? So I would say 80% of what you have to do in this report is write a SWOT analysis. If you have the internet, you can study what is a SWOT beside my class, because it's everywhere. If you do Google, you're gonna have thousands of pages that tells you what's the SWOT. If you want to go really fast, you do what everybody else is doing. You go in Wikipedia and you put SWOT, and then you're gonna get 2 pages that tells you what is a SWOT. So the answer to your question is, what do we have to do? Is you have to write a SWOT for A2 milk. And therefore, then you can also find hundreds of samples of SWOT on the internet, beside my samples, which is like 5 of them inside Canvas. And if you spend a few minutes every day, after a week, you're going to be an expert of what you need to do. So it's not rocket science. It just takes you to do a little bit of work to figure it out, and then talk to your group. And if everyone in your group does exactly what I suggested, you're going to be champions of this in a matter of 2 weeks. But the problem is most people wait and see what is the other team is doing, and do you understand what you're supposed to do, and they don't do what I just said. But that's all you need to do, nothing more than this. If you do that, you have covered 80%. And then there's the details, and that, we still have 2 or 3 months to talk about the details, but that's the core thing. So welcome. Thank you for your question. Does that help you, Alima?
Thank you so much, Professor.
Fantastic. So welcome everyone. Today's class is blessed by the visit of a student from a past class. His name is Jason Gories. He was a student in this exact class in the spring 2021. Is that correct, Jason?
No, I took your intro to marketing class years ago, and then I'd taken some time off due to the pandemic, came back.
Oh, I see.
Took the consulting class, which was the last class I took at CSUN.
Okay. Yeah, and the consulting class, that was the one in fall 2021.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you've offered to speak to the students, because it has a very important impact for them to hear about your own story and your own experience in marketing and what you want to do in the future, and why this is any useful. So thank you for coming to share with us.
No problem. It's a pleasure for me. You've done so much for me inside of school and outside of school. So it's like the least I could do for you is come and do this. And also it's like,
thank you.
I do wish I had this opportunity to listen to somebody who was in the same position as I was, taking introduction classes of, like, there's marketing, accounting, business law, trying to figure out what it is exactly you want to get into. It's everybody at CSUN, a lot of people have transferred. A lot of people are there their second year, first year of college. You still don't know what you want to do, but you have an idea. Like, I want to be in the business world. But like you said, I started off in this class as well, Introduction to Marketing. That's when I first realized, like, wow, this is actually very intriguing. I'm excited to learn this topic. It's not boring. It gives me something that I could correlate to my real world activities. So I'm excited to talk about it. So like everybody here, you know, I was in this class. I originally came to CSUN as it was business management and real estate was going to be my major. And then I took my first marketing class with Professor V, which was this class. And I fell in love with it. Right after this class, I was like, I want to learn more. How do I learn more outside of school? That's when I started applying to different jobs. I ended up getting a job, entry-level marketing position at a clothing line called Funeral Apparel, which is where, you know, like everything I learned in school, I kind of practiced putting it into like my work life. That's where I realized like this is actually a major that I learned from. There's things I could use every single day of my life. Thing is, marketing for me personally, sorry, my dog is barking in the back. Marketing for me personally was just something that I felt I wasn't very capped. It's not like, you know, you just go and do one thing. Once you start doing a little more research into it, there's like marketing strategist, there's digital marketing, there's marketing specialists, there's people who do lead generation. There's so much you could really do with it. And at the same time, I never really knew what my end game, like my end plan was going to be, which is something that I figured out recently. And I had a conversation with you about, was going into law, something that I'm pursuing now. And it's like marketing kind of goes hand in hand with that. We had a conversation about, you know, call Jacob isn't really an attorney anymore. The guy's, he just does marketing full time. He just has billboards everywhere, his phone numbers everywhere. Something that I could recommend for everybody is when you're learning something in your marketing classes, when you have a project with a group or when you have a homework assignment, treat it like work. It really allows you to understand and retain the information more, but it really, you have the ability to practice before you get into like the workforce. So
Jason, they're working on the SWOT right now. So, you know, tell them about this, because they are learning it. It's just an assignment, but really.
But everything starts off with the SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Something that's like just, it's in my brain now. If I hear SWOT, it just comes up. But that's also something like everybody uses it. Every business uses it. It's something very useful. It's a tool that you're always going to use with whatever you get into. I just applied to an account manager position at a marketing firm called Giant Partners. And when I was talking to the vice president, he's like, what's one thing you learned in school? And I told him the SWOT analysis. And he goes, really? That's like, surprisingly, a lot of people don't say this, but it's something that you do no matter what. Whenever you're a new business, you're starting a brand, you need to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities for you to take advantage of, and especially your threats, things you should avoid, or threats can be something you take advantage of.
So tell them about the opportunities, that it's so critical and it's so difficult to find. Everybody's looking for this. It's like the gold everybody's digging for.
When you're doing your homework for SWOT, it seems a lot easier. However, when we had that small business consulting class with Professor G, I think we spent something along the lines of like 2 months trying to figure out an opportunity to take advantage of. It really was just back and forth between our group, back and forth with the professor. And what we were doing was basically trying to help a small business. It was a honey farm, or they did more than just farm honey. They created honey, they had classes, and it was very hard for us to give one opportunity for them to take advantage of. And for example, the one opportunity we gave was flavored honey to change the industry. So like strawberry infused honey, chocolate infused honey. Opportunities it's hard to come across. However, when you do get an opportunity, it's very important to take advantage of it and like really go after it from the beginning. Because it's either you're a trendsetter or you're a follower in the path. Either you're going to be the first one there, getting all of that, penetrating the market, getting all of that brand recognition, building that brand loyalty, or you're somebody who comes in down the line hoping to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, exactly. Hard. to find them, because they are, and you know what I'm trying to explain that is difficult to understand is the difference between a strategic opportunity and a tactical opportunity,
which is something that I had a lot of trouble with. I kept telling you, like, are you sure we can't like get this guy to go on TikTok and just make videos? There's so many people on TikTok. Are you sure? Are you sure? That was the first like 3-4 weeks of it. And you're just like, listen, it's a great idea, but it's short term. We're looking for something 20 years that could impact for 20, 30 years, something that's going to be a real business and not just a little tactic that allows you to get somewhat small of a foothold into the market.
So yeah, the students struggle with it for weeks, understanding that they need to be big picture opportunities.
Something that I was struggling with too is, you know, you want to feel like you know everything, you're retaining all this information,
and that's why they have to practice it.
Yeah, there's many pieces to the puzzle. Kind of pace yourself. I understand it's very easy to compare yourself to other students, which is something that I did a lot when I was in school. Also, I felt like I came into school a little later because I had personal things that I had to handle before I was able to be financially comfortable enough to go to school. Obviously, everybody has a different position. One thing is like, you can't focus too much about what other people are doing. It's very important to focus on learning. And, you know, you're in a class, you have an opportunity to learn from great professors like yourself, Professor V. Not a lot of people have that opportunity, and it's important to really try and not just go through classes and try and get a grade. It's more important to retain that information, know it, remember it, understand it, because eventually you're going to be applying for a job. And that's some of the things they look for is, you know, what have you done? Do you have experience? If you don't have experience, what have you learned in school? Like personally, myself, I don't have much experience when it comes to marketing. However, I have my 3rd interview with the company, and everything I've talked with the operational manager, the vice president. Tomorrow I have an interview with the CEO. Everything has really been about my classes and what I've learned in school and that small consulting group that we've had. And they love every bit of it. It's like, yeah, you know, you may not have all the work experience that we're looking for, but you have an understanding of everything we need to get done. And they trust me enough so far to get me this far compared to other people who are older than me, have experience. I definitely would recommend for people who are trying to pursue marketing that, you know, you join groups at school, small competitions. I don't know if you still do like that pitch.
Yeah, I just announced to the student yesterday that I was looking for 4 people to do the pitch.
Yeah, the pitch is
and so, but it's funny because I asked 160 people who wants to do the pitch. I'm lucky if I have 4 that want to do it. They don't realize that it's like a plant. Is if you don't water and invest and take care of it, it doesn't go very far. And like you go all out being a plant, and you have to invest in yourself. And that pitch, that's competition, that's fast pitch, you know, the Wells Fargo fast pitch competition. It's all the students that participated in this became rock stars, all of them.
Because real life experience, it's something you get to talk about in your resume and in interviews. If I didn't have that small business consulting class, there's not much I could have really talked about, which is why I told myself, like, you know, I really regret not doing the pitch, because that's something else I could have talked about, something else to separate you from other candidates that are trying.
And now you're going to be a little sad to hear that, but the pitch for the competition in May, which 4 students, I hope from this class will be doing, is actually going to be to do Valet Hive.
Really? For the brand for basically the
flavor. They're going to have to, it's going to be their brand. Because what happened is we don't, they're going to borrow the work that you did, in fact, and just use it as to compete against one another. But if Paul and John are competing, it's going to be called Paul's Farm and John's Farm, right? That way we have confidentiality of the client and all this, and there's no conflict. But they're going to have to come up with their own way of pitching it, as if they are co-owner of this and they're looking for investors. So you see, from your seat, you can see how exciting that is. I mean, it's just a coincidence. Things happen very organically. You're going, oh, my project.
It's crazy to think that, you know, like that also just means he really loved the opportunity to work with students so much he's willing to continue it, is one thing. Because through our project, we were really concerned, like, this guy really might not like what we have to say. Like, that was one of the main concerns. Like, this guy really might just be like, I don't like this. This is not what I wanted. And towards the end, he's like, I'm actually like
blown away.
He was speechless. He really was. He's like,
yeah, he said, I'm blown away.
He was not expecting anything of what we did for him. And he's like, this is something that people pay tens of thousands of dollars for a month to get what we did for him. And it was cool to be a part of that. And it's something that I'm proud to say I was a part of it. Hopefully one day I get to walk into a grocery store and see that there and be like, wow, this was my idea.
yeah. Oh, it's gonna, this is more likely to happen than not. And when you're gonna happen, you're gonna say, this idea, you know, and then it's obviously it's gonna become a big idea, and it's already. I told the student not too long ago, but not this class, another class, how amazed I was to see the change that they were between early September to late November, when you looked at the data and you looked at the other people that actually went that direction, how much more sales they had. They multiplied by 4 or 5 how much they were selling. So you can imagine.
We were looking at, we're up 220% within the like 3 months that we were studying, and we were just like, it's not like we told him it's now or never. You know, these guys they're going full throttle, and they're not looking back. Eventually they do this other flavored honey, or you guys do it before them. And that was really what it came down to.
So important. Yeah, this timing is so important. But you know, in your case, what was really great working with you and your group is that when we had meetings, I could be very myself with you, where I would tell you, you know, what you've done is fantastic. It's an outstanding.
It's gonna work. A lot of the times this is gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time for the first meetings, it was essentially me holding myself to tell you that this is terrible, but you knew this was the process, and every time it was okay. So what do we need to change? What do we need to change? And that's very, very important as a student or as a person that works and with someone with more experience, is to be there to want to learn, you know, and realize that it's a process. So
especially in the industry of marketing, you have to be very open to constructive criticism. You can't take things personally. Like, yeah, you put in a lot of effort into work. We put a lot of effort into that project. I think that project, we changed it maybe like 5 or 6 times before it got to the end of where it needed to be. And that's just something that you're going to have to deal with at work as well. You know, you think something is perfect, you think it's brilliant, and then you present it to the person. Hopefully it's not the client themselves, and you present it to somebody within the company before, and you find out, you know, everything that you thought was great really wasn't. And there's a learning curve to it. It's not obviously it's not easy. There's a lot that goes into marketing, like research and data and surveys and having to do different analysis, whether it's your competitive analysis, SWOT analysis. But overall, this is something that I feel like a lot of people, if you learn it and you love it, your opportunities are endless. Whether you want to work for a company, start your own firm, start a brand, this is something that everybody needs.
Yes. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm so thankful for you to come. There's one last thing I want to discuss, because I actually presented it to another class, my master class, my MBA class it was Saturday. I have a Saturday, they are older, executive MBA. And I told them that not every answer to what you need to do next comes from a database. And in fact, I showed them the Valley Hive, and I told them, you know, look at the students, they were working on this project, they were looking for opportunities, and they didn't find the opportunity in a database. They found that people were saying, really deep down, I like honey, but I don't eat it very often because it's not my favorite flavor, and my favorite flavor come from other places, jam and peanut butter and so many other. And then we had this discussion, and I said, okay, so that's what you're finding. And you say, yeah, people are saying that. And then I said, why don't you do more qualitative research to find which will be the flavors and actually test it yourself? And I remember your face and your group people face the first time I said that. What do you mean? How can we create a product? How can we take honey and make flavored honey and all this? I remember I tell you, well, you do it. And then you say, so how do we do it? I say, you just go, and we're all like this. You go on Google and you go, flavors. Where do we find flavors? And then you say, oh, one of you said, oh, I've got it on Amazon. Oh, you found some flavors? Where did you find? And then the other person, no, I found this one on eBay, and I found this one on Etsy and all that. I say, okay, so you find flavors. You take these flavors, and then you just take some honey, and you put 1 drop of flavor inside the honey, and you see if it's good. If it's not good, you put 2 drops, 3 drops, and you experiment. And then you grab a bunch of people, and you give them the honey with the flavor, the client's honey, and then the terrible, disgusting honey, and then you just see what people feel, and you measure this, and this becomes your primary data that you've collected yourself.
Like we built our entire presentation off that taste test. That was where we where we got the owner of the company to be like, wow, like,
yeah,
if this student can just do this in his kitchen and get the results that we got, then what can I, because I remember it was like the lowest increase in the flavor profile was something like, it was 12% compared to his honey. People preferred it 12% more, and the highest was something along the lines of like 25% immediately. And it was that was me mixing it in my kitchen. That wasn't even a professional lab where they're doing this properly. It was just with his own honey, which is the part that struck the most him. And you could tell he was kind of thrown back. He's like, this is my own product too. Like he couldn't say anything at that point other than you guys are right.
No, and I remember even the behavioral posture, he was like sitting like this, and then you said, we had to do it ourselves. I mean, you're the professional, we are not, but we had to do something so we could see if it's better, if anything. And then you started giving the data like this. It was huge percentage, and he was like this on his chair. You could see he was disappearing, and then he came back and he went like, "Wow, you guys, yeah, totally, I get it. I gotta do that. So, yeah, that was really good. So fantastic. Thank you for sharing your experience, the importance of the SWOT analysis, identifying opportunities, and then getting the data. And the data is not just in Google. You have to speak to some people and then start thinking outside of the box and think long-term and think strategic. So that's all the summary essentially of what we discussed. Thank you for coming and taking the time and sharing your experience.
Thank you for everything you've done for me. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to come speak to some students. I've never really done this before. I'm sorry if I look a little bit uncomfortable up here. 130 people is a lot of people. I don't know how you're so used to doing this often. You make it seem so natural speaking to people over.
Well, the reality is it's not that difficult. It doesn't cost me because I really mean well for all the people. I mean, these people, I don't know them, but essentially I see everyone as my people and I want them to succeed. And so therefore it's like I'm speaking to the people that I care for. So therefore I'm not thinking about I'm Frank Vigneron, professor. I'm this person, I'm there for them, and I just want them to succeed and take advantage. But not every student sees that. But I do it anyway because I feel this is my role, and I just enjoy being someone that maybe inspire anyone.
And I say that every single time I talk to you, and you're by far my favorite professor I've ever had the opportunity of learning with. There's a reason I still keep in contact with you. I know I will always keep in contact with you. My last piece of advice to everybody would be, if you see this man teaching a class and it's a marketing class you could take, 100% take it.
Thank you for kind words.
It's very different than other classes. It's not always out of a textbook. It's more go out, experience it, learn it, actually learn it. It's not just about taking a test. It's more about retaining information that you could use in your future. You're an amazing professor, so I can't thank you enough for everything you've taught me. I use it every single day of my life.
Excellent. Best wishes to you, and I hope you can call Jason very quick.
Very quickly. Got to learn a little bit of marketing at this firm first, and then law school, and then just start doing my own thing.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason.
It was nice talking to you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. It's so good to see people that are excited about what they are doing and the experience that they've had at the university. And so I think that's why you go to the university, is to learn something. You go to the university because you want to get into new experiences. You go to the university because you want to be challenged. You want to be challenged because it only gets harder out there. And this is the opportunity, I think, in a safe environment, an environment where the instructor means well for you. And all personally, and I think that's very common with the professor, all we want to hear is how successful you are from whatever things that you have remained from the discussion. And so it's excellent that Jason was able to come and share some of his time. And I hope that you have been inspired, not for my class or coming back in my class, but just for yourself, for the sake of learning. I think what I wanted to put forward here is not myself, but it's the subject. Marketing is a very important subject. with marketing, you can do anything. And you can even make people buy used shoes as new. I just say that because my daughter was very excited today. She bought some shoes called something goose, straight goose or fly goose. Oh God, I forgot the name.
Golden goose?
Yeah, golden goose.
Yeah, golden goose is good.
Yeah, so she put some golden goose made in Italy and the whole thing. She was very excited. I mean, these were expensive, $500 or $600.
Yeah.
And so she got those shoes and she came and she said, "Hey, what do you think?" And I said, "Oh, they're good looking shoes." But then I got closer and I said, "My God, they look like they got damaged in the shipping or something." And she says, No, that's what they do. There's all kinds of videos and they take the shoe and they wrap the shoe and they make them look like they are used. And I said,
Yeah.
Wow. And that's the point. And she says, very good and all that. And then I told her, I wonder if there's a business for making pizza where you can see that someone took a bite out of the pizza, you know. But I was just making a joke. But essentially, I think marketing can make you buy pizza that already been eaten one section by someone. I think with marketing, you could do that and make them feel people even more satisfied. Like they'll take the slice of pizza and go, "Look, someone just had this corner of the pizza. Oh, this pizza is so much better now because someone already had a bite of it." I think with marketing, you can make people believe anything. And actually, look at my quote for the day. The amount of energy necessary to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. And so this is called the Brandolini's law. And I'm sorry to use a bad language, but if you go in Wikipedia and always to name something that is sort of a common denominator to get a quick answer, and you put Brandolini's law, you will see that it's in Wikipedia, and they use that kind of language even in Wikipedia to explain this concept. Because you see, in marketing, that's what you try to do, is you try to be the first one to say something. So you try to be the first one with the used shoes. You try to be the first one with the used jeans with a hole. And so that's how you gain from it. So being the first one is very important, but sometimes it's not sufficient because there needs to be an opportunity that supports it. So opportunity is what? The opportunity is that people will buy something used thinking it's better is a fact within a certain group of people and blah, blah, blah. And you can even sell it more. If that's the case, if that's a fact that is supported by some type of research, being qualitative, meaning just asking a few people, or quantitative, meaning asking thousands of people, then that means that you have a business direction. And this is strategic in the sense that you have to create a new product, you're going to have to create a new campaign, a new marketing campaign, a new promotion campaign, and so forth. And that's what you're looking at right now, is coming up with a big picture idea for A2 milk. So it's not easy. You will see that in 1 month, a little bit less than a month, you have to produce a draft, which I will give you feedback, and you will see that coming up with your own big idea and justify your big idea and explain how you found it and what you think will come off this big idea is much more complicated than you thought originally. That's why I am only asking for a report of 10 pages, because in these 10 pages, you're mostly going to try to justify this opportunity, this big idea. And if you can do that, you've learned a lot. And I think this single skill, I'm one professor among so many professors, but that's why I do this exercise, because I say, what can I do to these students? I'm going to teach them many skills, but there's one skill that if they know and they get, they're going to be okay. No matter what, they will be okay. So this one skill, understanding opportunity, that's why I spend so much time. And that's why I have students. I mean, Jason was a student that I heard 2 weeks ago. He sent me an email. He said, "Oh, this is going on in my life," and so forth and so forth. And I thought this was very exciting, that he's doing more and more marketing in his life. And I said, "Hey, would you want to come to talk to my class?" That happened to me last week. Another student in my MBA class did the same thing. He told me, "Hey, I'm hired by Universal Music as an executive. And he did this and that, and that helped me a lot and all that." And I say, "Hey, can you come in my MBA class to talk to the students?" You can actually go see the video of James, his name is, from Wednesday last week, that came to talk to the MBA students. It's also in my YouTube channel. He's at the very beginning of that class as well. And he talks about his experience doing marketing and how this has been useful, and recommends to students, I mean, they are in their 30s, please study the opportunity because that's going to get you far. So same thing in this class. I try to focus on again and again on this concept because it is not lip service. It's something that you can take away and learn. Do you have any comments or any questions before I move on to the back to talking about opportunities and strategy, research, and environment? Any comments? Or I see that there's been a lot of messages and being posted, and a lot of thank you for Jason. So I think that's great. I hope to see you come back to my class in the future, because I think it's part of being grateful. It's a good feeling to be grateful. I'm grateful for so many people, and essentially that's a feeling that I have often, every day, being grateful for all I have, and I try to see all I have versus all the things I want to have. I guess it's easier to be happy when you're grateful, and it's very nice to be helping other people as well. So the subject I want to talk about, and it's always very centered on all this, is you need to find opportunities. Where do you find these? You find them in the environment. And in the environment, you have multiple variables and factors in this environment. And the most important are obviously the customers, and followed closely maybe by your competitors. But then you look at the macro environment, and you have the economic, which would be a very important factor right now, because the economy and people's capacity to save money and spend money is not as good as it used to be. Having said that, that's not true for everyone. Wealthy people are getting wealthier. I mean, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Aston Martin are beating the records of sales. There's never been that many Rolls-Royce being sold in 2021. In fact, 2020 was the record of sales. Rolls-Royce is about 110 years old company, and the record of sales was 2020, if you can believe this. But it was beaten in 2021, and it's possible that it will be beaten again in 2022. So it's kind of strange, because obviously it doesn't take much to realize that economies are not good. So how can rich people become richer? This I don't know. Economic, and for most people, it's not very good. Cultural, obviously, there's a lot of changes as well. Many of the changes comes from new generation, comes from people being aware of different themes and being active, intellectually thinking about different things, the access to information, right or wrong information. So when you do research, you're doing it within layers from exploratory, descriptive, and causal. That I talked about it last week. It's inside already the video recordings, but I want to bring it back because I don't want you to think that all of these subjects, all of these slides are equal to each other. And so to reduce this perception maybe that they're all equal, I try to talk about some several times so you can see that they deserve your attention, because they need to be well understood. So well understood in the textbook, they don't repeat this section that I'm discussing right now. They talk about it just one time. So it's inside the textbook. But in the real life, this is very important. It's very important, not because you are a marketing professor like me and I'm doing research, and I have to do marketing research just to keep my job, but I enjoy marketing research as well. But it has to be understood also by students, business students, to some level, at least to some level. Going through the depth and the complicated formula that may be required when you're doing descriptive research, when you're doing survey and all that, it's interesting, but the reality is you probably will forget them very quickly. But understanding the concept and the reason why between this is very important. So the reason why is when you do research, you do it because you want to. So you don't do research as a business because you have to. You do it because you want to. Doing research allows you to take better decisions, and if you take the better decisions, you become more successful. So you want to be successful, therefore you need to do research. And so the more you become successful because of research, the more you do research spontaneously without feeling that it's a requirement and you're forced to do it. You embrace it. But we can't do research to the point of making it perfect. So what you do in doing research is you focus on first doing what's cheaper and faster and more reliable. So looking at what's existing. So this is called secondary data. You collect what's existing. However, sometimes you also want to get maybe more recent data. So you want to collect it yourself and you want it to be more specific to your needs. So you collect it yourself. So collecting yourself, you can go in descriptive research by doing a survey. But before doing that, you can ask people some questions. And that's the point I was making. Great ideas do not come or come very rarely. So to put it in percentage, 5% of the great ideas come from doing a survey, and 95% of the great ideas start by coming from talking to people. So since it's easier to talk to people than do a survey to 1,000 people, since it's faster and so forth, so why don't you talk to some people? So for A2 milk, talk to some people that like dairy products, talk to some people that don't like dairy products, talk to some people that used to like dairy products, talk to some people that are thinking of changing the habits of dairy products. So the most important thing would be to find people that are willing to talk, willing to share their perspectives. That's number one. And then just discuss with them. Another thing I would do is I would ask them if it's okay to record the conversation, because there may be things that they say that you didn't pick at the time of the conversation. And ideally, you would want to even film this. So sometimes in filming, there's some problem because people may be more shy in being filmed. So you may have to film it in a way where it's not being, it's kind of not obvious that they're being filmed, where you don't hold the camera is in their face. Is you actually have the camera on the side and you have the camera on the side and nobody can really see and it's just being filmed, and quickly people forget about it. That would be the ideal. That way you can go look again at that video, because you not experts at interviewing people. So the best way is to interview someone, then take the video, look at the video, and then think about, I should have done this and that when this person was saying this, because maybe they said no, and the next time they say no, and then emphasize the no. So there was something more that you should have asked at that time than what you asked. So experience comes from doing things, and the more you do things, the more you become experienced. Do not be shy interviewing people. It is very important. Then this slide is essentially the summary of what I think you should know. Knowing this is something that if you study it, like Jason said, not just to prepare yourself for the exam, even though you have to study to prepare for the exam, but also because you realize that in business, in your life in general, the more you know how to research, the more successful you will be, because whatever you're doing in the next 10 years, it will be very different than what you will do in 30 years. And the better you are at researching, the more you can even prepare yourself and anticipate and condition yourself in order to do anything you want. So we talked about the SWOT analysis. It's important that you understand also what's the PEST analysis: political, economical, social, and technological. So when you are working on this PEST analysis, so wherever you be working or you're working right now, there's acronyms that you sort of have to know. So the SWOT, the PEST, these are very common acronyms in business, and you would not want to be in a position where someone says, let's do the PEST analysis, and then you look at them and you go, what do you mean by PEST analysis? The problem with this is then they may ask you, did you go to a business school? And if you say yes, that's scary, because they say, you don't remember what that means? So it's standard in the industry. That means that you're doing some kind of research looking at the core element of the market in order to understand where you are now. And it's political, economical, social, and technological. It's essentially what's inside the environment. You see, political, technical, and all of this. The SWOT analysis on the PEST, what's the difference? Well, you do first the PEST in order to be able to do the SWOT. The PEST is just sort of listing, reviewing, scanning the environment for all the changes that are happening in these factors. These are the key factors, the PEST. But there's just doing the PEST puts you in a weak position, because there's more than the PEST. There's also the natural. There is also the demographic. And so you're missing a few by just doing the PEST, but it's the common core elements that people know when they're doing research. Do you have any questions? So to continue, let's look at an example. How was Crocs? I know that Crocs are not the most popular shoes right now.
They're making a comeback.
Yeah, they're making a comeback. And they're making a comeback because it's still very much of a sold shoe. So it's the growth that was very spectacular. And then they had a plateau, then they had a decline. And now they have a slight comeback. And, you know, that's sort of what happens to products that went through fade. I think the Crocs are not shoes that go into fade because they have a real product benefit. Personally, I don't own any Crocs. Could I see myself owning Crocs? It's possible. I'm not against it. But there's something kind of funny about these shoes, and therefore I'm not big on wearing funny looking shoes, but that's just me, I guess.
They're so comfortable though. Like once you get, I said the same thing because I was like, they're not fashion friendly. They're kind of weird looking, but I got a pair when I broke my ankle and literally I felt like I was walking on a cloud. I don't know what the material's made out of, but they're so comfortable.
Yeah, you're probably right. I agree with that. And it's very important. I bought a pair of shoes like this that were very comfortable and they were fluorescent yellow. And it was like, wow, fluorescent yellow. It's like I'm trying to get attention on my foot or whatever. But they were so comfortable. Extremely expensive brand shoes from Adidas. But because they are fluorescent yellow, they were 50% marked off. I tried them. I couldn't believe how comfortable they were. And I said, what the heck? So I can see, you know, comfort for some people is a big idea, and some people it's less. So therefore, if someone offer you some, you try them, and then you probably, you know, go with it. So I can see that. And so, but how did they start?
Professor, could I just kind of say one thing too? Is like with the Crocs and stuff, I know it's a trend too. It's a lot of fashion, and especially with these like kind of underrated type of brands as well too. With Crocs, like you mentioned, Adidas as well too. They actually, I'll go back to Adidas actually. With Crocs, like with New Balance, a lot of these underrated kind of older, I guess you can say, demographic type shoes, they've been kind of pushing towards collaborations. And I think that's what's been pushing them in terms of the popularity. With Crocs, they're collaborating with like the, I guess there was like one good example was what's his name? I can't remember, but he's a Japanese artist. He is a very, you know, he's very popular and he did a collaboration and actually the run of Croc, I guess, these clogs, you know, they went crazy. They sold out within a matter of like seconds. And I think same with New Balance as well too. Very underrated, very comfortable shoes, but you know, lately they're doing a lot of collaboration with like these very, I guess, popular, I guess, designers and artists where they're kind of pushing for it, and they kind of limit the quantity as well too.
That's
so
true.
It's
So thank you for sharing with us, Chong. Now I want to put you a little bit on the spot because I think it's interesting what you're saying. What would you say? So be careful. Let's take your time. What would you say is the opportunity that how would you state the opportunity of what you're talking about? What would be the sentence?
The opportunity is more of creating, I think it's hype. Hype is, I think, what the common trend is with a lot of this so-called like hypothetical limited. Yeah, they're limiting, and it's really hypothetical because really there's really no limit to it. Crocs, you know, all these fashion brands, they have that, they can make these products, they had in large quantities, but they're purposely limiting it to create that, you know, I guess, you know, and they're also marketing it, oh, so limited, it's going to be out for such a short amount of time.
So, opportunities, number one, are not what you are going to do. Opportunities are facts in the market that you can take advantage of. So what would you say the facts are? And I think you started by saying hype. So I think that word is sort of a good start. How would you state the opportunity for Crocs is, therefore, based on just the fact that Crocs took advantage of?
That's a tough one because really Crocs, I mean, in terms of their main focus, you know, for the overall market is the comfort and affordability of it.
So that's a strength.
That is their strength. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then what are they? So I'll start, just don't go away. Okay, so Crocs started from two friends that were selling on a boat. They were selling on a boat and they went for 5 days selling. After 3 days, Bob told Peter, you stink from the feet. There's something wrong with you. And he said, well, what are my choices? I got some boat shoes, because when you go on a sailboat, usually the boat is white, and it's very easy. It is very easy to mark the boat. So they get boat shoes. They look like there's a brand that's pretty famous that does this boat shoe, North Sail or Sebago or whatever. They have like a white sole.
Sperry topsider.
Yeah, Sperry topsiders, exactly. And so, thank you. And so they were stinky in the Sperry topsiders after 3 days. And then if one of these fall in the ocean, they float, but not very well. And then they said, wow, what can you imagine someone creating a shoe where you don't stink from your feet and it's comfortable and it's made from one single piece of material. So it's very simple. And then they went back, and the next year together, they were entrepreneurs. They created that shoe, the Crocs. And that's how the idea started, from comfortable, non-smelly shoe made from simple material. So that's what they did. But the opportunity was what? So I'll do it for you. The opportunity is people smell from their feet. According to drhealthamerica.com, says that 20% of the people have smelly feet. Right? Then another one is thermal injection machines, modern thermal injection machines with computer technology are able to make simple plastic devices for very low cost. Second opportunity. So you see, I'm not telling you what to do, is I reverse engineer the idea into the concept, which is the fact people have smelly feet, is what made that shoe successful. Imagine if people didn't have smelly feet, maybe that shoe would have never been started, because that was the idea. So now you're telling me that they made this shoe with Star Wars and Bad Bunny, and they were going after hype. That's what they did. What is the opportunity?
I mean, just based off your slide, it says, like, reading off, like, you know, the need for comfort and value. Those are two, I think, top opportunities there.
But the fact that they went for Bad Bunny, the opportunity is people are influenced in buying fashion products by celebrities. Celebrities influence people when buying fashion clothing, according to fashion.com 2021. You know, so then it's like something like, I don't know, 45% of consumers under 30 years old are primarily influenced by a celebrity endorsement when buying fashion clothing. You see that? That's the reverse engineering. Oh, they're influenced by celebrities? Okay, I make shoes. Why don't we get a celebrity? Use the fact. Do you see that, Chong?
I do, Professor.
Okay, so you have to go backwards. So opportunities are not what you're going to do. Opportunities are facts. Let's do another one.
So basically kind of seeing what the trend is in terms of, you know, and then working from that is what you're basically saying, right, Professor?
Yes, so you have to go backwards. So I show you an idea. From a student from CISA, no? Who became a multimillionaire, came to see me and he said, I have this idea. These are the normal RX cap, 600 students, huh? And I want to make it better than this. And I want to become very successful. I want to get rich. He told me I want to get rich. I want to get rich. And I'm smart enough to know that my chances of getting rich from cryptocurrency are 1 in a million. But I took your class and I want to get rich by using the good old method, which is opportunity identification. My grandma takes pills and she constantly forgets if she took her pill this morning. So she opened this, she takes the pill, 3 hours after she doesn't remember she took it. She takes too many times the same pill, she's gonna get more sick than if she forgets the pill. But forgetting the pill is not good either. So then he invented, that student who now is a millionaire, the RX timer cap. He said, you know, I found this technology that's very simple. It senses emotion, and then it puts the time. Simple, it's just a clock, very cheap. You put it inside the cap, and every time that you open and close the cap, it tells you when it was the last time that you opened it and you closed it. That way you know if you took it or if you didn't take it. And then he said, that's cost people to get sick. It costs the community, the government to get sick. So I'm going to go see the government. I'm going to go see CVS. I'm going to go see Rite Aid. I'm going to go see Kaiser Permanente. I'm going to go see Hoag Hospital. I'm going to go see Cedar Sinai, and I'm going to sell them the cap. That way they don't get their patients sick, and that way everybody buys the cap. He sold it to Costco. Now he's a multimillionaire. This was very simple. What was the opportunity? So the opportunity is not what he did, which is the opportunity is to make a sensory cap that remembers when you open and close. No, that's not the opportunity. That's what he did. That's the result of the opportunity. What is the opportunity that supports this idea? And that's for everyone. What is the opportunity that supports this idea? Yes, Leslie.
That people forget and have a hard time of keeping track of when they took their pills.
Exactly. People forget. You see? So that's why in business, you don't create need. You satisfy them. People forget. If people didn't forget, if people were computer, they never forget. You don't need this. People forget. Therefore, they need help to remember. Right? So these students, all he did is he found that people forget. If people take too many pills, they get sick. If people forget their pill, they get sick. Institutions such as CVS, organization, the government is constantly spending billions of dollars in order to reduce this. So there's money. You're not selling to poor people. So when you go see someone who has a lot of money and you give them a solution to a problem, they find a way to give you their money. So that's why he became very successful, very quick, faster than cryptocurrency and all this, because he understood the simple complex, which is opportunities, ideas, strategy, tactics. That's simple. And so I'll do another one. What about this one? Fiesta Auto Insurances. It's a company that sells insurance for Hispanics in California. They focus mostly on Hispanics, but it doesn't have to be just Hispanics. What is the opportunity? That one is super easy. Yeah. The one before were more complicated, but I'm giving you one easy right now, just so to make sure everybody gets.
Is it providing insurance to people who have no insurance?
So opportunities are not what you are going to do. So it's like providing insurance to people that have no insurance. That's what you're going to do. But what was the opportunity that made this company go from a small company to a multi-million-dollar company?
Selecting a specific demographic?
Yes, has to do with demographic. Who's speaking? Is it Valeria? No.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of the same thing, that they decided to focus on like a specific demographic and like people that have or that don't speak a certain language. So then they targeted them because of that, and then they provided the services that they knew that they needed.
Absolutely.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Is the idea is that, gee, the insurance company provides insurance to lots of people. At the same time, there's insurance company that may be more specialized in specific groups. Maybe insurance company specialized to the police, insurance company specialized to the teachers, insurance company specialized to the army. Okay. Insurance specialized to people that are very wealthy. And then someone came and said, what are the other opportunities than in military, police, teachers, wealthy people? Is, gee, there is a huge group of Hispanics. And nobody has an insurance company that's really specialized in their needs, because their needs might be different, like you said, just from a language perspective. Because you're getting an insurance, you want to know you're paying for what. And if you don't totally understand the small print of the contracts and the language and all this, then you're just giving money and you don't know if this is a waste. But if it's written in the language that you understand perfectly, you can have a better evaluation of what you're getting. So for people that speak better Spanish than English, that makes total sense. So that's how they became successful. If there was two of them, I mean, it's like, imagine someone that did insurance company in Southern California for people that speak French. Is this an opportunity? No, because the French-speaking people in California are a minority, a very, very small minority, like a dying minority. So therefore, you wouldn't want to do something special to an opportunity that it's almost non-existent, because there's not enough people. So it's a weak opportunity. Is it an opportunity? Yeah, but it's a weak opportunity. So for example, because I'm French, I'm registered at the consulate, and the consulate has a newsletter for all the French people that we receive, once a month or whatever. But this newsletter is sent to all the French-speaking people in America. Do they have insurance inside? Actually, they do. They have dentists and ophthalmologists and accountants and tax people and doctors and all this for the French people, even in that newsletter. But it's not for Southern California, it's for the entire United States. And so that's what these people do, is they see an opportunity in focusing on a specific group and offering services for these people, because they may feel more comfortable being with someone that speaks their language. Valeria, you still have your hand up. I'm not sure if you have something to add.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I forgot to put it down.
No problem, no problem. Thank you for participating. So opportunities are not what you are going to do. What you are going to do is either a strategy or a tactic. So what you have to be very careful is most students, 50% of the students, think opportunities are what you are going to do. So there's one I always give to the students, because it's a sort of a sad example, because it's sort of I've been using this example for 20 years and it's been relevant for 20 years, which is 20 years ago, I used to say, according to consumer business.com in 2021. So I was saying that in 2000, saying that gas prices are going up. Gas prices are going up by, actually, I think they went up by 50% in 1 year in America, between 20 and 21. But anyway, we don't see 50% very often. Usually it's more like 10 or 15%, not 50. But anyway, gas prices are going up. Is this an idea? Is this an opportunity? Is this a strategy? Is this a tactic? What is this? According to consumersbusiness.com, gas prices went up by 50% between 2020 and 2021. What is this? And so, well, I said that one because I think you can remember that one. It's easy. Gas prices went up. Gas prices are going up. That's a fact. It's a fact, and it is an opportunity. Is it an opportunity for gas station? No, it's not an opportunity for gas station. Is it an opportunity for anyone? Yes, it is an opportunity for some businesses. Businesses selling another sort of energy. It's an opportunity for businesses selling electric powered things. It's an opportunity for people selling solar panel. It's an opportunity for electric cars. It's an opportunity for a lot of businesses which offer alternative to gas. Okay, so gas prices are going up. It's an opportunity for transportation by by train. Although the train in the US, a lot of it, they use gas, so it doesn't help too much. But if there were some electric train, therefore it would be more appropriate, I suppose. So facts are just changes in the environment that you can take advantage of. Okay, so here I give you another example. This company, Union Wine Company, was selling wine from 2005 to 2013. They were selling it in a traditional glass bottle. Their business was very small. They looked like they were going to close because year to year, they were making barely any sales. Then as a last resort, as a last chance, they had a party in some event to promote their brand. And the last minute, the insurance company could not insure them because they had glass bottles. So they told them, sorry, you have too many glass bottles. We cannot insure you. And they said, okay, so we still want to have the party. We need to think about something else. So at that time, someone came up with the idea of putting the wine inside aluminum cans. So in 2013, that did not exist. And this was essentially implemented in order to pass the situation, the insurance issue that they could, that sort of stopped them to have this party. So they made can wine, and people were able to drink the wine and taste the wine, but from a can. They had never expected this, but in fact, their aluminum can wine was very much liked by the people at the event, and people even thought that they did it purposively. The day after the event, the people that run Underwood were shocked and discussed what happened the day before, and eventually they decided to do a trial and start bottling their wine inside some cans. In a matter of weeks, their sales was multiplied by 100 week to week, to the point that this became a multi-million-dollar company within a year, versus before they were making a few thousands. And this became the biggest story in the wine industry from 2014 to 2020, with huge growth. What was the idea? The idea was to put wine inside aluminum can. What was the opportunity? What do you think was the opportunity? Which they never thought of because they got lucky with this. But eventually other people, other businesses copied them, but didn't copy them just blindly, as they copied them because they could see the opportunity. The opportunity that was generating the growth for this company. So it was not like luck. Luck in business does not exist. There is an opportunity that someone saw or was lucky to grab and make them successful. So what was the opportunity there? How would you explain it? What is the fact that they took advantage of.
Could it be that like wine bottles are like they're easily breakable, and if people like wine and like it, like they could break, right? And then these are like more accessible, like you can carry them because they're like a can of soda.
So yeah, so the opportunity, you're on the right track. So to reverse that idea into an opportunity, you would say, you know, according to some source and research, because that's why you have to do research. See, you do research so you make better decisions. You don't do research because you have money and time to waste. According to this research, people take less wine or would take or do not take wine when they go to a picnic in fear of breaking the glass bottles. According to this research, 30% of the people do not take wine or take less wine in fear of breaking the bottles. So therefore, there is a need for a non-breakable alternative for wine container. I think that sort of summarizes what you were trying to say, if I sort of borrowed your thoughts. Another one, what other opportunity is there for making this?
You can also say an opportunity is for the perfect serving in a sense,
yes.
Having single servings.
Yes, yes, that's the right track.
One bottle and multiple, yeah.
So, but do not present it as an idea. You know, there's an opportunity to make single serving container, because that's the idea. What would be the opportunity? How would you phrase it as a fact?
Kedar?
Yes. Okay, just a second. All right, let's see. So how would you state the opportunity? Chong.
I'm still thinking, Professor.
Okay.
I do have an idea. You can say, I mean, I'm thinking.
Yes, what I'm trying to do is to break the normal behavior, which consists, and which is very common, but it's not the optimal. You know, it's like going to the gym and doing half of the motion. Like you take a weight, and instead of going, you know, all the flexing, you just do a little bit. It just doesn't work. You got to do the full motion in order to get the muscle to work. Here's the same. It's if you only think in terms of ideas, you're limiting yourself. If you think in terms of opportunities, you see much more what you want to exploit. So the single serving ID is very good. But what is the opportunity before that? The opportunity before that would start by saying, according to some research, the research, okay, Erica, I think you want to answer. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, of course.
Maybe you can appeal to a different type of environment too, whereas wine is maybe more like a formal event, but now it can be more like accessible to a casual event in the can. I don't know.
No, that's very, very true. So you've got, so Chong had one idea. Let me finish with this, and then we'll go with the Erica, because the Erica is also very true. So,
that's good.
So yeah. So in your case, it's the self-serving. So what you will find is, according to some research, you know, wineinstitutes.com, 35% of people who drink wine do not open will not open a bottle because they only want to drink it for themselves. So they want just a one person drinking.
Actually, Professor, you just gave me a great idea. So you can say like majority of restaurant goers or most of the people who enjoy wine with their meal would prefer to have one serving of wine as opposed to the whole bottle. So here's the opportunity to, you know, put wine into a can and
exactly
serving.
Exactly. That's it. So you see, what's very nice is, I mean, by participating like this, maybe some people are hopefully listening, they get the exercise because you had a hard time picking up by reversing your ID. Now you just did it. So you have to reverse it into a fact, because when you speak to partners, when you speak to a banker, or when you speak to an investor, they don't care of your ID. When you speak to a shark, you know, a Shark Tank, the sharks don't care of the ID. They care of the opportunity. Is why do you do what you're doing, and why would I want to give you some money? Why would I want to become your partner? Because of the opportunity, not because of the ID. An ID is too personal. An opportunity, it has some level of security, some level of justification based on a fact, which is supported by sources and which is recent, not from the 70s or whatever, a recent fact. So if you say, you know, like you said, according to so-and-so research from 2021, restaurant customers mostly favor individualized wine serving, and most people will want to drink wine if given the opportunity to drink a single serve. And then you could have another one, which is large number of people who go to the supermarket, who online store, do not buy wine because they don't know that they can finish the bottle by themselves. Therefore, the idea is to offer single serve using, and then another one is containers made of aluminum are cheaper than containers made of glass, according to AmericanFactory.com 2021. So there's a cost opportunity as well of using the can. So the cost opportunity, there's a change of the customer needs that you relate. And then there's the one from Erica. So the one from Erica is also good. She essentially was saying that there are occasions, situations for drinking wine where people are sort of in an environment which is casual, and wine is a little bit too serious, and therefore they won't be drinking wine because it looks too serious. You know, you need a cork opener, you need someone that knows how to open it, you need to have fancy glasses, you need all of this. And people just want to drink wine like sangria or like White Claw or whatever. Simplicity is better. So the opportunity here is consumption of wine. According to consumer research from 2021, you can increase consumption of wine if you simplify the rituals of the consumption of wine. You minimize how to open the bottle, you minimize sort of the the snobbery of the needing a specific glass and all of this, and you make it much more casual within a very casual format. And everywhere, sort of, most places everywhere, most of the time, sort of format. So it's less snob, less exclusive in the location and times and processes. That becomes the opportunity that supports this. So every successful product can be explained as the idea, this quick pitch, but every successful product can also be explained by the opportunity, which is much more important than anything else, because the opportunity is what you try to use in order to justify the need for this product, the need for this business. Good business, pretty business, people don't invest in this. People invest in businesses where there's a real product that satisfies a real need from real customers, because that's how the world turns around, goes around. Is only things that are meaningful get people to buy. I'm not saying that meaningful from an expert perspective, meaningful in the eye of the customers. If the customers think it's meaningful, if they care for it, there is a business. Yes, Leslie, I see your hand is up.
Didn't them putting it in a can and now I see like there's wine in little boxes, didn't it change like the visibility, because now they're able to be put in coolers where there's like beers, wine coolers, and like different types of alcohol, where it's like giving more visibility to people who don't necessarily drink wine, and now it's giving them that option to try something different?
That's very true. So this is sort of a subsection of the one that Erica mentioned, where you would say there's a democratization. You know, so Erica was more like there's a change in the rituals, there's an expansion of the usage, versus you, it's very similar, but it's more of this thing, which is suddenly it's more approachable. It's more it's a democratization of the product, where suddenly it becomes less of something maybe sacred with a formal, traditional, you know, wine in a glass bottle. So it's very true. So you see, it's this level of talking, this level of thinking that we've been doing for the past 20 minutes is very important, and that's what's the most difficult. What is the most difficult in this class? Number one, your team member, by far. That's the most difficult in this class. Number one, your team member that are going to try not to work or wait for the last minute to work, or tell you that they're confused, that they don't know what they're supposed to do because they have not spent much time trying to do anything or listen to what they're supposed to do. Search, be curious, and all this. That's the most difficult thing, number one. And number two, the most difficult thing is to be able to not think in terms of ideas, but to think in terms of opportunities. So what's very important is to reverse engineer your ideas. So I'm not saying you should force yourself to think in terms of opportunities, because that's very difficult. What I'm saying is you should force yourself to think in terms of, to keep yourself thinking in terms of ideas, and to force yourself in rephrasing your ideas in opportunities, and then pretending that it went from opportunities to ideas, when in fact it was the ideas that came first, and then you massage them backwards into the opportunity, and that's okay. If you think about ideas and you keep running your business as an idea, you will increase the chances that you will fail with your business, dramatically increase the chances that you fail. Ideas not backed up by opportunities have a huge increase of chances to fail, because they tend to be more belief in the spur of the moment, in the emotional of the thing. It's your baby, it's your idea, it's got to be good because I came up with it, versus opportunities generating ideas make the ideas much more objective, because they are not just ideas, they're supported by the data, and therefore they increase everyone's comfort following your ideas, because therefore it's not personal, it can be justified. It's close to be mathematical. And so the more opportunities, like we just did with the scan, the more bullet points of opportunities you have that justify the product, the idea, what you're doing, the more weight you have, the more objective evidence you have to give confidence to people working with you in your business. So this skill is critical. I don't want to say that if you go to a business school, that's the one skill that you should learn, but I think it's very, very important. And that's why I was happy to get Jason. That's why I encourage my students from the past to come back after 1 year, after 2 years. I mean, he took this class, what you said, 2 or 3 years ago, to come back a long time after, to even, the more time they come back, the more they will tell you that how important it is to understand this. It's could be number one, because business is all about identifying opportunities and executing the opportunities. Unfortunately, executing, it's hard for me to teach you executing, because the best way to learn about executing is by trial and error. making mistakes and doing it again and again and again until you've executed enough times that now you become a pro at executing. But before being a pro at executing, you can train yourself, and this class is essentially there for that, is to train yourself to think in terms of opportunity producer and opportunity researcher. So you're researching opportunities, and what tool you use to do that? It's called the SWOT analysis. This is how you research your opportunity through the very, very simple concept of the SWOT. So do you have any questions? So that's good. So I think I'm glad that we went through this, because hopefully this is starting to give you a hint. And maybe some of you are totally getting it, or better getting it. And that's what I hope. Eventually, the idea is that you all do. And if you don't do as if at this minute, it's not the end of the world, because you're not graded at this minute. But eventually, your paper is going to tell, because if you don't, okay, here's my experience. Statistically, 85% of the students get it. But because these 85% are diffused into all the groups, it's very, very unlucky if you're in a group where the 5 people, you don't have any of these 85, that you sort of all the people that didn't understand are inside the same group. It's very unlikely, and you will be extremely unlucky if that happens. So there's always at least one person. So therefore, I do not see any paper at the end, report at the end, where that paper, they didn't understand the opportunity. So you want to sort of be in that category of trying to understand this as quickly as possible. So most people understand. What is difficult is to come up with good opportunities. And that's, I don't know what to tell you, because it's like predicting the weather sort of thing. Is that, I don't know. There's different classes that I get, and sometimes it's 90% is very good, and sometimes it's 50% is very good. I think it has to do with the project, and it has to do with the project and how it fits in the environment. And that's why I picked the businesses to go after, because I try to pick them. Like, for example, we could have picked Crocs, which are sort of being revived right now, because there's a return of this kind of product and so forth. So that would have been probably a good client to have. But I think A2 milk, there's a lot of things going on in the world of milk. Milk is booming. All the different milks are booming. And I think, there's lots of opportunities for a product to excel and for you to come up with even better direction than the one that the company is currently taking. Hello, Justin, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Good to have you. So you want to make an announcement about your club. So please take a few minutes for everyone to come back and hear you. So I think everyone should be back right now. We're just going to
Could I use the share screen?
Of course. So let me put you, make co-host. Here you go.
Thank you so much. I'll put it up now just so, and then you can just let me know when's a good time to get started.
I think you're good now.
Okay. All right. Okay, hello everyone. Hi, my name is Justin, and I am one of your associate student senators representing you for the business college. I also serve with Aline, who you can see here. I'm an accounting major and she's a business law major, and we both work together to do a lot of things. And here's just some of the things we do to advocate for you all. So one thing you might know us for is our town halls that we host. We try to do at least 3 of them and have them happen over 3 months. So we're hoping to get our first town hall by the end of this month or starting in March. And so far we think they're going to be hosted on Zoom, but there's a possibility we could have like a hybrid or something. We will see. And we also, on the Instagram for associate students, there is a Instagram lives and other polls and ways to interact with each other. We also are on campus, and I'll go into a little more about how you can reach us while you're on campus. So just a couple of things that we do every week is we have these meetings every Monday at 9 a.m. With all of the Senate, and administrators from CSUN attended, like Dr. Watkins, who is the Vice President for Student Affairs, just to name one. It's where we vote on legislation that impacts the student body. So some examples of the things that we do. We submitted a resolution for a tutoring resource website so that all of your tutoring information could be in one place. So we asked the school to do that, and we'll see how that progresses. We also have like the Matador discount card program, which is in the works, kind of like a discount card for all of the local businesses in places around the area. But ultimately, we are here to get your questions or concerns addressed and connect you with other people who can help if we can't help. So I have contact information. We both have emails. I'll drop mine into the chat. We also have office hours. We are on campus Monday. For me, at least, I'm on campus in my office. The office is in the student union, and it is right across from like around where like Subway is, around that kind of area. It says Associate Students Office. So I'm there Mondays from noon to 3:30, and then Thursdays 4:30 to 5 p.m. So also definitely follow us on Instagram at CSUNAS. You are also all welcome to join our meetings on Mondays at 9 a.m. in open forum. You're able to ask questions and let us know how you are feeling. So with that, I just want to say thank you again, Professor V, for letting me share this with everyone. Before I actually leave, I want to let you all know that it's Welcome Week this week. If you see a little table outside of Bookstein Hall, the administration and professors and faculty will be there to help answer any questions you have about getting around campus, and also free swag is there as well. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin, for taking the time as well to share this information with the students. Everything we're going to do before the first quiz is essentially talking about marketing from the standpoint of the big subjects that are the pillars of marketing. After the quiz, we're going to focus on the 4 P's, which are the elements that are very much focused on the implementation of those pillars of your plan. So it's very important to be able to do multiple things at the same time, but it's also very important to understand the order where things go, where there are bigger things and then smaller things. The idea is that you have objectives, marketing objectives, and then you have, following the objectives, you have your strategies. That's the next big thing. And then following this is you have your tactics. So that's why I'm using this Russian doll as a visual expression of how I would go about putting it together, this complex of system of objective, strategy, tactics, objective, bigger, strategies, and then tactics. And so they have to be connected, which is the objective has been defined from the result of some marketing research. You want to increase your sales because you have decreasing sales. You want to increase your sales by creating a new product. Creating a new product is a strategy, and then the tactics will be what you need to do in order to succeed with the creation of your new products. There needs to be some logic. So common sense is mixed with knowledge and experience. So you have, at the university, you get knowledge, a little bit of experience. After the university, you get more experience. But common sense is something that you have to sort of nurture, and it usually works as well with your experience. Eventually, you become more used to what's more common and less common. So your statistics play a part, your internal statistics. So strategies are what? The high level direction, the broad direction, the big idea, if you want. Remember, what's a big idea in marketing? It's a strategy. What's a small idea? It's a tactic. You have to remember that. Okay, so I could have this in the quiz. What would be the perfect term to define a strategy in marketing? I don't know. What did I put? I put opportunities and strength and strategy, tactics. Big idea is a strategy. The small idea are usually tactics. Okay. So now, not only you need to understand the order and how they are embedded with each other, but you also need to use some tools in order to look at your market. So there's two tools. There's the BCG, is this one, and the General Electric Grid. BCG and the General Electric Grid are tools that were created by some consulting firm and also a big corporation. Sort of what I did with creating the OIST. They created the BCG matrix. So the BCG matrix and the General Electric, their purpose is to look at your product portfolio and see where your product fits in the market. So in the market, they fit according to the natural growth of the market, which you don't have any control, it's external, versus your share, which is what you have as a small share or a large share. So the best case scenario is when you have a big share in a fast growing market, which is popular, and that's called a star. So the products that go inside this quadrant are called the stars. They are the one that you have the highest profits, the one where you can keep investing. Then the next one are the question marks. The question mark is where you have a low market share. So maybe you entered this market or you created a product, not at the beginning, but you came a little later, and therefore you couldn't get, or you didn't invest correctly, or you had something happen at the beginning that you couldn't get much market share, or you didn't communicate enough, or they distributed enough. It was not in as many places as it should have been, so therefore you could not capture large market share. So that's called your question mark. Why is it a question mark? Because it's also called a question mark, but it's also called a dilemma. So dilemma or question mark, it's because you either will become a star or you're going to become a cash cow or a dog, because there's a cycle in products where they go from birth to growth to stagnation to death. So depending if your question mark was a star, it's possible it's a star that becoming a question mark, and then it could become a cash cow because it's just a cycle, it's going to become smaller and smaller. Or it's also possible that this question mark was a cash cow that's becoming a question mark. Or it's possible that it's something that you came so late in the industry that you will never get to have much more market share. Then the next one, so therefore, because of this, is you wonder if you should reduce your investment or if you should invest further in order to grow it, to move it into the star. So if it was a star before and it's becoming a dilemma, it's very possible that investing more is not going to change very much. And that at that time, it could move into the cash cow. So into the cash cow, suddenly, is you have invested enough that you have a high share because your competitor maybe are divesting. And at that situation, you have the market growth rate, which is becoming low. And so you don't have high expectation for this cash cow. Is you trying to harvest as much as possible because you know that this product will be eventually becoming a dog, which is the lowest profit on growth and the lowest potential. It's the quadrant where you want to disinvest yourself. And so this is very important because it sort of helps you to sort of make decisions about your investments, about the future of your product. And it also helps you to understand if you need to bring more products, create more products, and which one to get rid of. So going very quick, the G is the same, 100% the same thing. The only difference and the only value that this G brings is there's more square, there's more quadrants. So therefore, it has more subtle notes because there's more nuances, having more squares So you're not in or out, but you could be phasing in between different positions. So therefore it's more subtle and it gives you maybe more precise real situation. Next. The next thing is strategy. There's many more tactics than there are strategies. Why are there many more tactics than strategies, do you think? And I'm going to see the chat if anyone answer the chat. Why do you think there are more tactics than there are strategies?
Is there more channels to reach the people? Different channels? Is that what that means? Sorry.
Different channels.
Like
Yeah.
versus social media versus radio versus billboards. Is that
Yes,
different
exactly.
mediums? Yeah, different
Exactly.
mediums. Sorry.
So yes, that would work. What happened is, yeah, so there's many more steps and there's many more choices. There's not many more actions that you have to do in order to fulfill. So for example, if the IID was to increase communication, I'm sorry, I couldn't capture exactly who was speaking. Who was speaking? Was it Angelica?
Oh, it was me, Erica.
Erica. Hi, Erica. So if the big idea is to increase communication in order to be known by more people, you know, objective, increase the number of people that know our brand by 20% in the next 12 months. That's the objective, big idea. The strategy will be to increase communication. And the tactics will be what you just said. There's many ways to communicate. So we increase the number of ways, or we increase the specific. So, you know, it's like we are not doing Instagram. Now we're going to do Instagram. We were doing radio, but we only did 2 radio. Now we're going to do 5 radios. We used to do 1 newspaper. Now we're going to do 20 newspaper. So the tactics are many more choices. So if you said, so many strategies should you have? Because you see sometimes students, and I understand why, are very Cartesians, very logical. Is they say we're writing a paper, how many pages, 10 pages, how many strategies do you want? I want 4 or 5, how many tactics, you know, and they sort of counting as if there's like a magic number. There's no real magic number, but there's a question of size, which is, you know, if you invite someone and you serve, I don't know, a dinner that has 600 calories, it's possible that's not enough, because there is some market research that says that depending on the people, but for most people, it goes from 1,000 calories and 2,000 calories. I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist. I may be saying something totally wrong, but you get my point is just that there's a certain number of calories that are like the minimum. Otherwise, people feel that they didn't eat. So in that situation, it's the same. Is if you're offering someone a plan, A2 milk, a plan, you cannot say to A2 milk, we've been thinking that there's possibly one strategy for you. One strategy, it's like, the odds are that it works is not very good. So you have to come up with more strategies. And sometimes you have to come up with strategies which are plan A. We have 2 strategies, but we also have plan B, which has 3 strategies in case plan A doesn't work. So we're offering 5 strategies. And if for plan A, here are all the tiny detailed actions, channels that you just said, small bits that you're gonna have to do. So there's many, many, many more bits. And I think that's what people have been commenting in the chat. So they are lower level directions, so they are details. So it takes multiple tactics, many tactics in order to achieve the strategies, and possibly more than one strategy in order to achieve the objectives. That's what it is. Could there be just one strategy? They could. How often is there just one strategy? I don't know, 10% of the time? So 90% of the time, there's more than one. Could there be many, many strategies? No, because if you have many, many strategies, it looks like you're doing everything, too many things. And therefore, your company is going to be sort of dissolving itself in all the things that they're trying to do. And to succeed is you have to try to do very well a few things normally, because there's only a few things that you can do very well. And so that's the common sense that is very important in business, is there's only few things that I can do very well. I can only be good at a few things. What are the few things that I do that I'm good at? And what do people want? And then you try to match what do people want and what I'm good at. And then you keep doing more research. What is it that they want? How much is it going to take me to give them exactly what they want? What do I need to do in details to achieve what they want? So all of this, you may find it fascinating and suddenly realizing, gee, that's the subject that's really for me. Or you may be finding that this is not for you because it's a little bit too, I'm not saying it is, but you may feel that it is wishy-washy, where it's sort of hard to really evaluate because it's a question of argument. And it is true. There is a big component, which is essentially a question of argument. This is why sometimes students that like business law feel very comfortable with marketing, because it's essentially making an argument. It's a question of argument. Versus accounting, maybe finance students may feel not as comfortable because they see that this is very little science in there. It's hard to really materialize and be objective as much as accounting could be objective. I wouldn't know really, because which one is more objective, marketing or accountancy, but I think maybe accountancy may be more objective. Yes, very much more objective. But it doesn't mean one is better than the other because it's more objective. They're both necessary because they're both looking at improving business. Marketing is very much about satisfying the customers, and accounting is very much about making sure that you can keep affording satisfying the customers and that you make some money, so that way you grow your resources in order to further satisfy the customers. So you have to understand all of this in order to see how they work together. And that's why if you like accounting, you do have to spend some time understanding marketing, because then you're going to see what's the big picture of the business and where you fit and how you can overlap between each of the functions inside business. So the strategy for the business is going to be steered by accounting and finance and all that, but it's very much evaluated, created by marketing. It's very much implemented, and they are part of the creation and all that by management. But marketing is closer to create the strategy than management is. And the reason being is that there is a requirement for marketing to be doing research, marketing research, to identify the opportunity. And management is more anchored in making sure everything is implemented as planned. So they very much work on the plan, and very much work on the monitoring of the plan, and adjustment and improvement of the plan, and creating the routine and the feedback and measurements of the plan. Marketing is more into the prediction of the plan, the reasoning of the plan, and all this. So many tactics, few strategies, and even less objectives. Okay. So what are the basic strategies which exist at CSUN, in New Jersey, in Canada, in Brazil, everywhere in the world, that are sort of covering most of the strategic situation? They're called the generic marketing or generic management strategies. They are the same in management. And so these strategies are something that I want to bring to your attention, that you should know, because it's in quiz 1. Maybe you could decide to forget about it because it's not again in quiz 2. So between quiz 1 and quiz 2, you could forget about it. However, if you forget about this, you may as well not go to the university, because people that are in the street and doing business and speak the language, they have to know the 4 basic strategies. So are there more than 4 strategies in business? There's hundreds of strategies. However, I would say those 4 strategies are sort of representing 70% of the strategies that are commonly used. So just by knowing 4, you will know 70% of the situation that businesses use or you may recommend to a business. So it's not a waste of time to learn this and try to remember them for when after you graduate. Remember, Jason, he said, oh, we talked about the SWOT analysis, and the person interviewing me was sort of surprised that I knew about the SWOT analysis. Yeah, if you get interviewed for a job, no matter what the job, there's some things that in overall business you want to know, and the SWOT, and what are the 4 basic strategies. They are not easy to forget. They're easy to remember and really hard to forget, let's hope. So the first one is called market penetration. Market penetration is selling the same thing to the same people. Product development is selling something different, so a different product to the same people. So you're selling, let's take the example that everybody will understand, Coca-Cola. You're selling Coca-Cola to, you work for Coca-Cola and you decide to increase your sales. How can you increase your sales? You can increase your sales by reducing the price, having a promotion where you have a small reduction of the price for a short period of time. That's market penetration, selling more of the same. You could increase your communication. You could make 2 or 3 Super Bowl ads instead of 1. Before you had 1, now you do 3. And that will increase significantly your sales and achieve your objectives. So market penetration, not too difficult. You sell in more places, you reduce the price, you increase your communication, done. Product development is more complicated because you decide to need to create a new product, and it needs to be substantially new, different. I mean, you don't do like strawberry yogurt and then you do raspberry yogurt. Strawberry yogurt, then raspberry yogurt, then mango yogurt, flavored yogurt. That could be considered market penetration. It's just a different flavor. Maybe if you were to do frozen yogurts, that would be considered to be different because suddenly frozen yogurt is a different product. And that's product development. So Coca-Cola sells more Coke by putting more ads in the Super Bowl, market penetration. Coca-Cola creates a Diet Coke, that's product development. Coca-Cola creates a cherry vanilla flavored Coke, that's product development, okay? Now, market development, what is this? It's selling to different people the same product. So Coke decides to sell cherry Coke in Argentina. They are selling it in Brazil, they are selling in Chile, they are selling in Mexico, but they're not selling in Argentina. It's a new market for existing product. So in that situation, it's new customers, but it could be in the same country or the same state. Is let's say most of the people that drink Coke are less than 60 years old, you know, something like 99% of the people buying Coke are less than 60 years old. So then they decide to make, to sell the Coke also to over 60 years old. So they're going to increase the communication, increase the location where they sell the Coke, and to sell to people over 60. So it's not like they never sold to 60 years old, but the 60 years old are 1% of the people drinking, when in fact the 60 years old and over people are 33% of the population. So there's a gap. 33% of the population is only 1% of our consumers. So we need something to increase them buying the product. Diversification, be careful. It's confusing because it's not selling a new type of Coke to the over 60 years old, to a new type of population. It is very different than that. So it is different in that, in the sense that it has to be substantially different, the product. So for Coca-Cola, it would not be about selling a soda, for example. It would be about selling ice cream. I don't think Coca-Cola sells ice cream, so I use this example. Obviously, if I say the Coca-Cola shampoo, for example, I don't think they sell shampoo. I may be wrong, but I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't think they sell tires, I'm pretty sure. So it would be Coca-Cola tires. Diversification is a significantly different product. So the way it's placed as the fourth, the bottom right box here, it's misleading because you think it's new plus new, but it's significantly different. Okay. Do you have any questions? This is definitely in the quiz because it's a basic thing. Yes, Cynthia.
I don't know if you guys or if anybody remembers, but Coca-Cola once did like with their product, they like the wrapping, you could like tie it into a bow. Would that be like a market development? Because I know that they're like the marketing for it was like give it as a gift. It's kind of like a share a Coke, but it was like more of like a gift.
Okay, so they were selling what, the wrapping?
Yeah, so like you could pull, there was like a tab on the wrapping, the little plastic wrap, and you pull it and it turns into a bow. I think someone said in the comments that they did it for the holidays. Would
Yes.
that be a market development or product development?
So the fact that they have an item that turns into something else, in that situation, I think it's a market penetration, personally. Because what it is they're trying to make the product be used in something else. So it's promotion. So, you know, it's like if you buy jam and then you can keep the glass jar to use it as a glass. Or, yeah. So why would anyone do that? Not because Coca-Cola wants people to buy the product to use as glass jar, but what it does is it creates more appeal for the product. It's like a promotional item. So it promotes the product. It makes people more aware of the product. However, if you find that the fact that 60 years old and more would buy Coca-Cola if the product could be reused, I don't know, maybe they can put their dentures inside the glass jar with some liquid for keeping the dentures at night or whatever. And it's something that has been developed. So then it's a product development where they would specifically use it to keep their denture, but at the same time, it would be market development. So could the company strategy be a combination of market penetration and market development? Yeah. Could it be product development and market development together? Yes. It could be both. It could be product development and marketing development. The product
could it
new.
also, sorry, Professor, could it also be like product development, but also a new, like trying to acquire a new demographic? Like I remember Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Obviously, I didn't use the product, but like I know that my sister definitely did. Like they created like lip smackers or like lip balm or lipstick products where it would cater to a younger demographic because most adults wouldn't buy Coca-Cola lip products. The kids would be more open to that because it's their favorite drink, because sugary drink, and they would be open to having a stupid lip product that serves no function other than tasting sugary on their lips, and then they reapply it. So
correct.
Would that also tie into the market development, but also new target acquisition?
So if you do, so thank you, David, for this example, because if you're doing a Coca-Cola lip balm, it's diversification. It's nothing more than diversification because it's a new product that will appeal to new people. But it may appeal to the same people. But the idea, that's why the reality, you know, I didn't look, I'm teaching you this because, not because I have to, because it's very important. If we were in Brazil right now, I will still be teaching you this because it's taught everywhere. You have to learn. However, just between us, this matrix is screwed up because essentially, I think it's my thing is live here. Essentially, it should be like this. It should be one slide like this. And I should tell you, the generic marketing strategies is this three. Did you see that I removed it? David, can you see that I removed it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So normally it should be presented like this. If you really wanted to do it well, it should be presented like this, where that thing is gone. And then I should have another slide where diversification will be by itself. The fact that it's there, it's sort of confusing. So actually, let me just remove it right now. These are the three basic strategies. It's either same market, same product, market penetration. The product is totally new, but you still try to sell. You know, it's like iPhone 1, iPhone 2, iPhone 3, iPhone 12, iPhone 20, iPhone 30. I mean, there's going to be an iPhone 30 someday, right? Is that a new product? Yeah, it's for the same people. Like, do you have an iPhone 19? Get the 20. So that's product development. Now, if you're trying to sell, I don't know. A salad, a wrap burger. A burger which has a salad wrap. A burger that has a salad wrap. It's sort of a new product, but the reality is mostly market development. Is there's some people that don't eat burgers anymore because it's too fattening. It's not healthy. So they eat burger, and one day someone tells them you're fat. They're not too happy. Another day the doctor says no more bread, and therefore they don't go anymore for fast food. And then the fast food says, oh, we lost 10% of the people because they don't go for burgers with buns. And there's also a bunch of people that never come here because all we offer is buns. But if we offered it as a salad wrap, we'd have the 15% that went away, plus the 10% that we never had. Let's do that. So then they do that. And then they grabbed a group of people that they couldn't grab before. That's market development. Purpose is really to get someone they couldn't get before. Now, on another slide, there's another strategy called diversification, which is when Coca-Cola will do something totally different, like lip balm, or like they will make motor oil, or like they would make tires, or like they would make airlines, or like they would make, I don't know what they can make, pens, and like they would make computers on phone. I mean, when you say to someone, does Coca-Cola make phone? They're going to say, I don't think so. Does Coca-Cola make, I don't know, banana juice? I don't think so, but maybe. So these things are more, someone put their hand up and it went away. I couldn't see who it was.
Oh, it was me, but I was gonna talk about, like, kind of go over what you were saying about like the fast food and like how they're all now trying to incorporate like Beyond Meat and get like the vegetarian and vegan demographics of,
Exactly. That's what it is you try to capture a new target by creating a product which purpose is just to get a new target. However, I have to teach you the way it's explained everywhere in the world. Diversification happens to be right there, that quadrant. So because it's right there, it's sort of a little bit confusing. The reality is it's not that confusing. It's just that you have to put the word significantly different market, significantly different products, which is out of the extraordinary, or of the ordinary of the company. So I will not put you in the quiz one in a position where you're going to be uncomfortable. You know, I'm going to say, what if Ford is starting to make computers, you know, or what if McDonald's is starting to make airplanes, right? I mean, that's significantly extraordinary for the company. That's diversification.